Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, November the 7th. Ian Cameron, and look who's coming in out of the bullpen for us here. Yeah, it's a Robinson. It's not the one we normally see at this time on a Thursday. It's Ryan Robinson, pinch hitting, if you will, for his brother Matt, who is apparently he is in a work meeting, but I see him in the chat, so he's doing some chatting during the work meeting. So there you go, multitasking apparently all at once. But Ryan Robinson is with us. Alex B. Smith has his power gone out 10 minutes before the show due to construction near his apartment. So we're hoping to have him at some point. But Ryan Robinson is here with me for this Thursday show. Ryan, good to see you again. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Good to see you too. It's always fun to be on the show and interact with a lot of the familiar names in the chat. So I'm excited. A lot of games tonight. Should be a fun night, and can't wait to go through everything.
We always wonder, comparing the Matt and Ryan Robinson brothers, who's a fan of one or over the other. Here's Aaron in the chat saying it's the good-looking Robinson brother. Wow. Shots fired at our guy Matty there. Wow. He's in the chat, so he's going to see that, Aaron. But nevertheless, good to have Ryan Robinson. Just briefly on last night, we got a huge card. I want to jump right into it. All I'll say about last night is kind of disappointing with the system play. Only went 1-3. The only thing we got was the first period over, which was very easy with Predators and Capitals, but the full game stayed under. And, of course, both legs of the system play stayed under in the later game with Vegas and Edmonton. But Washington, we did have the Capitals money line, and another great win for the Capitals in that game. Nice 3-2 victory. They just keep on keeping on. Bargain bin special cashes from that game. Alexei Protas at plus 460. Ends up scoring a goal for the Capitals last night. We talked about how well he has played with Dylan Strome and Alex Ovechkin, and he gets on the scoreboard in that one. And a great win for Washington. They just keep on playing some really good hockey. And a 3-2 win for them over the Predators last night. The Detroit Red Wings, cashed with the Red Wings last night on the money line. They get the job done against Chicago, 4-1. Solid road win for the Red Wings, catching the Blackhawks too off the road trip. And they certainly took advantage of that. Red Wings with a nice 4-1 win. And then a great game with Vegas and Edmonton. Back and forth, very even. The only thing I wish was that we had the overs hit in that game, but it was still very entertaining. And Vegas, thanks to two Noah Hannafin third-period goals, including the game winner, ends up getting the 3-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers last night. So great win for Vegas. Again, we warned you yesterday on the show about don't chase the bad price with Edmonton. I know everyone was running, and they couldn't get enough money down on Edmonton once Connor McDavid was ruled in returning, and then all of a sudden they lose as bigger favorites after the McDavid news. So again, it's crazy how that happens in hockey, basketball. It doesn't matter the sport. Team gets the star player back, they lose the first game. It's like everyone relaxes, and it just thinks, hey, we got our guy back. It's going to be easy breezy tonight. And Edmonton not able to win in Connor McDavid's return to the lineup. Ryan, is there anything you wanted to mention from last night?
No, it was interesting to see Nashville's struggles continue. I think it was awesome to see Ovi get one. I was mostly paying attention to that Detroit-Chicago game just because, the narrative with Patrick Kane back in Chicago. I figured they would want to get one for him. So that was good to see. And then, that Vegas Oilers game was entertaining, back and forth, as you mentioned. Two teams with a lot of firepower. Sorry, my cat's making an appearance, but that was interesting to see. So not many games last night. Not a ton.
That was your hand for a minute. I'm like, that's one hairy fucking hand you have.
Yeah. But yeah, it was that Detroit win was good for me, and it was fun to watch. So.
No doubt. All right, let's get right into it because this is a huge card. We'll just jump right in on this huge Thursday slate. We've got 12 games on tap. We'll start with Nashville and Florida. Very good matchup. Well, thought coming into the season was really going to be a good matchup, but the Nashville Predators are not playing good hockey. They lose again last night, back-to-back for them. We've got Florida coming back home off the Finland 2 games against Dallas. They swept the 2 games against the Stars. Florida minus 200 home favorite, 6 the total in this game. We got a back-to-back for Nashville, struggling. I'm not rushing to bet them, but we've got Florida coming off the long trip in Finland. That being said, back-to-back situations, what do we often say about those teams? That they can be a little bit fresher, a little bit better early in the game. Second and the third period, the longer the game goes on, that's when they start to lose their legs. That's when they start to peter out a little bit. Will we see that here tonight in this matchup with the Predators and the Panthers? I actually think you can make a case for Nashville first period, and I like the angle of taking Nashville a little bit here in the first period. Just to jump on Florida coming off the long European excursion, first period hitting the ice. They may not be sharp right away, and you might get Nashville coming off the hard-fought, tough loss last night to Washington 3-2, to be able to at least come out and give a good, strong 20 minutes against a Florida team that, look, to be honest, in this spot may need a period, to get their legs under them just a little bit. So I like the angle of Nashville first period. I am on that. I'm on a little piece of the Nashville team total in the first period as well. Just the first period with these looks, not the full game, because I don't trust Nashville for the full game, especially on a back-to-back. Florida is the better team, and Florida's been playing some terrific hockey, there's no doubt. But I think I'm willing to take a little chance here early in the game that maybe Nashville can catch Florida, not at their best early in the hockey game, coming off the 2 games over there in Finland. So I don't mind those 2 looks. And again, Nashville team total, just -135 at BetMGM for Nashville to score a goal in the first period. Yeah, I don't mind that whatsoever. So the first period look for Nashville, I don't mind that whatsoever. But again, I'm not trusting this team for the full game right now. What do you think here? And I like the over a little bit here as well. Over 6 in this game, just because, look, I think Florida could be a little more lax defensively coming off the road trip. We've got also a backup goalie in Scott Wedgwood getting the start here for the Nashville Predators. Been okay. He's been had some decent outings, but he's also had some inconsistency in the few starts that we have seen him in net for the Predators so far this season. Bobrovsky will be in net, of course, for Florida. I think we can see this one go up and over the total. Let's also not forget that Florida's been trending over the total, believe it or not, in recent games. Their offense has really been humming during this great stretch of hockey that they have put together. Florida's gone 3-1 to the over in their last 4, 7-3 to the over in their last 10. And believe it or not, if you look at Nashville too, even though they've been trending under, they have been a team that's been giving up goals, 3 goals or more consistently. I think they do score a few tonight. So do like this over 6. And like I said, I like those Nashville first period looks. One thing I want to keep in mind, I am on a few overs tonight, but not as many as normal. The NHL has seen a huge surge to the under the last 3 nights, excluding pushes. Okay, excluding pushes, totals have gone 11-3 to the under in the last 3 nights in the NHL, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we have seen a big avalanche of unders in the NHL the last 3 nights. Excluding pushes, 11 games have gone under and only 3 games have gone over the last 14 nights. So we'll see if that trend continues or if there's going to be maybe another pushback from some higher scoring games here tonight and moving forward. Ryan, anything here for you? Predators, Panthers.
Yeah, there's a couple small things I like. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I know you mentioned Florida maybe starting off a little slow. I'm going to take a similar approach to Dallas just because both Florida and Dallas are coming back from Finland and, having 4 or 5 days off, whatever.
Florida is coming off not only the trip, Ryan, but they're satisfied. Those were two wins. They took both games from Dallas. So I really think they're more vulnerable to the slow start tonight.
Yeah, especially just coming back from that travel, having for those 4 or 5 days off. You see teams start a little sluggish sometimes in the first period. So I really like that Nashville team total first period over half a goal at I'm seeing -135, -140 range. I think that's a really good look. That way you don't have to worry about, if the period ends 1-1 or taking Nashville puck line or anything like that first period. You just need them to score a goal. I do lean the full game. I think Florida will start to pick it up in the second, third once they get, back in the swing of things. So I do like their team total a little bit over 3.5. I know you mentioned Wedgwood might be starting. So yeah, I think Florida, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they start off a little slow and it's a, 1-0 Nashville first period or 1-1, something like that. And Florida kind of storms back and dominates, later in the game, especially because Nashville played last night. And usually as the game goes on, when you played back-to-backs, your legs kind of wear down a little bit. So those are the two looks I'm really liking right now. I might look at a couple player props, but I'm big on that Nashville, that first period team total over half a goal.
Yeah, that I like. You know what? I'm turning this into an over by Fecta because I just remembered, and Chris Otto's charts pointed out 10-3 to the first period over this year, the Florida Panthers. In fact, they're tied with Colorado, the biggest first period over team in the NHL so far. The Panthers and the Avalanche, both 10-3 to the first period over so far this season. So I'm going to turn that. I was going to put it all on the full game over. Now I'm going to split it with first period and full game over with Nashville and Florida upon remembering that. As far as player props for this game, I'll throw out, again, Mackie Samaskevich's name for the Florida Panthers. This is a guy down the lineup with some good skill. I know he got on the board in one of the games against the Dallas Stars over in Finland. This is a talented player. He's got finishing ability. We're just waiting for it to become more consistent, but starting to find some offensive punch, which is good to see. I think Evan Rodriguez might be worth a look here as well. He got off a little bit of a struggle for him, but he got off the schneid over there in Finland as well. I definitely look at props involving him in this game. Lundell and Luostarinen have gone back to the third line, so we'll see there. But especially Samaskevich and Rodriguez, those are my favorite props there for Florida. For Nashville, Thomas Novak and Colton Sissons both banged up. We'll see if they play. So they could be a little short-handed at the center ice position. Those are both centers for them, too. So you definitely want to be aware of that. Forsberg, O'Reilly, Stamkos, Marchessault, Nyquist. They've split up Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist. I think they realized we got to try to get some more balance in our lineup offensively. That's the thought process for Brunette. We'll see if it works here moving forward. All right, Calgary, Boston. We've got the Bruins minus 145 home favorites, 6 the total. I did take a piece of Calgary when this line was upwards of plus 160 this morning, but it has plummeted. Plus 125 now. Huge move. I just thought Boston was overpriced initially in this game, so I did grab Calgary. Calgary, by the way, beat Boston twice last year. They won 4-1 in Boston, 3-2 in overtime at the Saddledome against this Bruins team. But again, I thought plus 160 just overpriced. Now at this number, I don't like Calgary as much because now it's priced more accurately. Boston is coming off a shutout loss, so they're going to want to bounce back. But like I said, Calgary played them well last year. I don't trust the Bruins in this kind of a favorite price range. But what I do trust in this game is the system play. Off a shutout loss for the Boston Bruins, the system play is in effect, and we're going to go back to the well with it. Even after last night where we only had 1 and 3 with the first period and full game overs with the two system plays, we're still looking at 19 and 6 first period over, 15, 7 and 3 full game over this year with this system. Teams off a shutout loss with the overs. So over by Fecta for me, Flames and Bruins over 1.5, over 5.5. I actually got over 5.5. It's gone up to 6 since, but still like it 5.5, 6, regardless of what you can get with the full game, plus the first period over and a smaller bet for me on the Flames as a big road underdog. What do you think here, Ryan? Calgary, Boston.
Yeah, I definitely like that first period over. I also tend to agree with you. I kind of lean Calgary. Boston hasn't been great, especially at home. They have had some early season struggles, and so I agree. The plus 160 or whatever you found Calgary at was obviously a much better price, but I still tend to lean Calgary. Boston got I think it was 4-0 to Toronto a couple nights ago, so they are coming back home. They'll want to have a better start, and I just tend to lean Calgary. I think Boston hasn't shown me enough yet to want to take them minus 145, even if they are at home.
Yeah, I agree with that. And by the way, I think Jonas Korpisalo's announcement, him being in net tonight, probably had something to do with the move to Calgary as well. Although he hasn't been as bad as people think. People think of him as a weaker goalie. He actually hasn't been that bad the last few games, but it's just the whole entire Boston team that it's hard to get behind them. Maybe not so much now because, again, the line has moved so much. But when it was minus like 180 with Boston earlier this morning, I mean, that's when I took Calgary. I'm like, they're just overpriced at minus 180. So that's why I looked at Calgary. Now, it's priced more fairly and accurately compared to what it was. As far as props in this game, Dustin Wolf, by the way, hungry like the wolf. Dustin Wolf in net here for the Calgary Flames in this one. As far as props go, Zary and Kuzmenko are with Kadri on the top line for the Calgary Flames. They might be worth a look. Tyler Johnson, second game now with the Bruins with Zacha and Pasternak. I think Tyler Johnson's worth a look because he's going to be given an opportunity to try to spark that top line for the Boston Bruins. I don't mind taking a shot with the old vet, Tyler Johnson, here as far as props in this game. All right, we move along to the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. We've got Carolina, obviously massive favorites here in this game at the minus 250 price range. The total in this one, 6.5 across the board. Carolina gets the win. Not one of their better defensive efforts the other night against Philadelphia, what turned out to be one of the highest scoring games of the night in the NHL on Tuesday. But the Carolina Hurricanes do get the win over the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll see if they can follow that up. It's been one hell of a streak for the Hurricanes, 9-1 in their last 10 games on a current 7-game win streak. Certainly no interest in fading this team on a win streak currently. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, just 2-7 in their last 9 games. They had won a couple in a row at home against lesser competition, against Anaheim and Montreal, and actually played some better defensive hockey. And Nedeljkovic had played pretty solid in net. But coming on back now against the New York Islanders, they lost 4-3 in a shootout. Very disappointing because it looked like they were looking promising to get their third straight win, and then they just blew the lead in the third period, and the defensive issues reared their ugly head. Holmstrom gets a power play goal. J.G. Pajot ties it, and then the New York Islanders end up winning it in a shootout over the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll see if the Penguins can bounce back. One thing I will say about Pittsburgh is in Carolina, it's not been easy for the Hurricanes. Hurricanes, beat in Carolina last year, won 3-2 in overtime against this team, so it wasn't very easy. We'll see if Pittsburgh again can bounce back. I did sprinkle a little bit, just a little bit, on the draw in this game. I don't have it in me to take Pittsburgh. I don't want to take Pittsburgh. I don't want to go against this win streak of Carolina, but the Penguins have been playing hard. I'll say that. That's the best thing I can say about the Penguins. They suck. They're not winning. They're not very good defensively, and they can blow leads, but they're competing. The effort's there, just not very good. That's the issue. And the one thing about Carolina is sometimes when you go through these long win streaks and you're facing lesser competition, you sometimes feel that, you go through the motions a little bit. It felt like that for the first time against Philly. Like that was not Carolina's A game, but right now, Kolosov is a disaster in net for the Philadelphia Flyers, that it didn't matter. That Carolina is still just based on talent and their ability to finish. And Marty Necas, who's been an absolutely great move into the country. Gonna meet me, Marty Necas. Marty Necas has been absolutely great for this Hurricanes team. Phenomenal. Great game the other night as well. And like I said, it wasn't one of their better defensive efforts, but because the Flyers can't get a save from anyone not named Samuel Ersson right now, Carolina was still able to get that win. We'll see how they fare here. Very interesting under the radar storyline in this game is that Alex Nedeljkovic, who started his NHL career with the Carolina Hurricanes, gets to face them, his old team, tonight, as he'll be in net for the Pittsburgh Penguins. We expect Pyotr Kochetkov again in net for Carolina. Freddie Anderson remains out. Although Rod Brind'Amour did hint at the fact that Spencer Martin, who's gotten the call up from the American Hockey League because of the injury to Freddie Anderson, will get a start at some point. Is tonight going to be the night that maybe we see Spencer Martin? That remains to be seen here because he is the guy currently backing up Kochetkov. But for now, it's looking like it's going to be Kochetkov here. We'll see how this one plays out. Just the draw for me as of now. That's it. And the total I don't love, I'll be honest, because I think Carolina wants to tighten up. I don't think they love the way they played defensively the other night against Philadelphia. So I'm off the total. I do like the draw a little bit here in this game, just because I think, we could see a close one. And Pittsburgh, hasn't been winning a lot, but I like the way they've been at least competing the last couple games. What do you think here in this one, Ryan? Penguins, Hurricanes?
Yeah, I differ a little bit from you on this one. I think I'm liking that Carolina puck line -1.5. I just think, they have a lot of firepower. They're playing at home. Pittsburgh has been resilient, but they have, terrible start, as you mentioned. They've struggled to string 60 minutes together. I think Carolina could blow it open at home and, see like a 4-1, 4-2 type game. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm leading with this game. There are a couple player props I'm going to be looking at as well. I know someone mentioned Natchez. I really like his point props usually, and then Jarvis as well. So there's a couple guys I'm going to be looking at. Not sure if I'm going to take their goals or their points. But yeah, I'm kind of leaning that Canes -1.5. I just have a feeling that they're going to show up at home and, beat a struggling Pittsburgh team.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Bailey, God bless you for trying to fade Carolina game in and game out. I know you're trying, but find these spots to for them to lose finally. But I just wish you could find better teams than the Pennsylvania teams to do it with. And bad goaltender. It's not Philly's bad, but Philly's got bad goaltending without Ersson. So that's why I said the other night I can't take Philly. That's why I was on Carolina team total over the other night. This goaltending not named Sam Ersson for them is none of it's any good. Right now, and it came back to bite him again against Carolina. Now, the one thing, and that's kind of why I think Pittsburgh might be in this game, is I think I'm not a big Nedeljkovic fan, but I'll even give him some credit. He's certainly been a little bit better than Jari and Blomqvist, the other goalies. And he's going to be facing his old team. I could see him wanting to play well here. 2.76 goals against, 900 save percentage for him so far this season. Nedeljkovic, it's not great, but it's not bad either. So we'll see how this one plays out in this one. All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along here, Montreal and New Jersey. We've got the New Jersey Devils -320, home favorites. The total 6.5 in this game. I mean, these are always the price ranges where I'm interested here in the Montreal Canadiens. And you do have New Jersey coming off the road trip. So it's not an optimal spot here by any stretch of the imagination for the New Jersey Devils. But do we trust Montreal enough? They've now lost 4 in a row. They lost just a terribly painful loss the other night where they give up the tying goal in the final 3 minutes of the third period after they had a goal disallowed where they could have went up 3-1, and Coronado gets it, and then Coronado right off the faceoff in overtime, and they end up beating the Montreal Canadiens 3-2 in overtime. Just a terrible loss right now for this team. So, like I said, I've got concerns about where Montreal is. They're not playing with a lot of confidence. It feels like when they make a mistake, they compound it, and things get worse for them. They're a bit of a fragile bunch right now, so that's what kind of makes me hesitant to take Montreal, even though that price is screaming right now out at me that, hey, Montreal could get the job done. It's also worth noting last year against the Devils in New Jersey, Montreal won here 3-2 in one of the games, and Devils won 4-3 in the other. So Montreal got 3 goals in both games. I kind of feel Montreal's team total at plus, and you don't get this every day, Montreal's team total over 2.5 at plus money here against New Jersey. I really do think that's a good look. I prefer that than the team total, than the money line, because, Montreal is still, when they make a mistake defensively, it is bad. And if you give up the puck and you make defensive breakdowns in coverage against a team like New Jersey with the offensive capabilities that they have, especially up front, when you look at Meyer and Hischier and Mercer, Palat, Hughes, Bratt, and even, your fellow Texan there, Stefan Nason with Cotter and Hala, they can get on the board too. So you just can't make those kind of mistakes defensively against a team like the Devils, and expect to get away with it. Sam Montembeault and Jacob Markstrom confirmed in net. That's pretty much it for me. I like a little bit of a Montreal team total, over 2.5 here in this one. I think they're in this game. It's not an optimal New Jersey spot, as I said. They're coming back from a road trip that treated them well. They took 2 or 3 games. They shut out Vancouver, and they shut out Edmonton 3-0. 2 of the 3 wins on that trip. Back home after that trip, not exactly, like I said, bet on spot. They play the Islanders, a regional rival, after this. There's reasons to think Montreal could be live, but I just prefer the team total pathway with Montreal rather than the money line. What do you think here, Ryan, with Habs Devils?
Yeah, so I'm looking at, let's see. I'm thinking I'm kind of staying away from that full game over, kind of like you. I do like that first period over, though. I think, the Devils have, obviously the firepower to put up 2 goals by themselves in the first period. Haven't been super impressed with Montreal defensively either. You said you touched on a little bit. They've struggled defensively, and when it rains, it pours. So yeah, I'm kind of I'm seeing that first period over around minus 140, minus 145. I like that. I might take a small chance on that first period over. Another thing I like is I'm seeing Heischer at 2+ points at plus 220. And so I'm back and forth between him and Hughes. I think, with the struggles the Canadians have defensively, I think either one of those guys could, put up 2 points tonight, and whatever power play, even strength, whatever it is. So I'm looking at those guys right now. I'm kind of back and forth between those two, but those are a couple small looks I like. I think I'm going to stay away from the full game over, and then obviously not laying anything on minus 320. I know you mentioned you might take a small chance with the Canadians plus 260, or their team total. What 2.5? Was it over 2.5?
Yeah, 2.5 at a plus price. I want to point out. You don't get that every day. 2.5 and plus money on a team total.
Yeah, I don't see Montreal winning this. It's obviously not worth the minus 320, but team total 2.5 is definitely worth a look. So might take a small chance on that, but yeah, pretty much for me, it's just the first period over, and then I'm liking going back and forth between Hughes and Heischer, 2+ points. So small for me, but yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
All right, good stuff indeed. All right, and like I said, the team total to me is the best look as far as props. Mercer on the top line, I like the value there. Still with him for New Jersey. For Montreal right now, Alex Newhook, Brendan Gallagher's the guy to go with right now. The old veteran has really caught fire here the last few games. Obviously, it goes without saying Caulfield's always a threat to score, but Brendan Gallagher, all of a sudden, 3 goals in the last 5 games for the Montreal Canadiens, and one of his goals got disallowed as well in recent games. So he's suddenly found a little bit of a solid footing offensively lately for the Canadians. All right, New York Islanders and Ottawa Senators. Ottawa minus 140 home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. A goaltender matchup of Varlamov and Anton Forsberg. I'm not a big Anton Forsberg guy, but I will give him credit. He's played marginally better here. A couple of his most recent starts. We'll see how he fares here. And it's not like Linus Ullmark played one of his better games in the last game against Buffalo that they lost 5-1. Forsberg back in net, and Forsberg had a shutout in his last start against the Seattle Kraken over the weekend. So we'll see how this one plays out. I like this spot for Ottawa. I do. They're off that 5-1 shellacking at the hands of the Buffalo Sabres. That's not going to sit well with them. It shouldn't. They're back home where they're a strong 5-1 this year at Canadian Tire Center. They've played good hockey at home. Islanders off the comeback win against Pittsburgh, where I don't know if that was so much the Islanders were good or Pittsburgh pissed it away in the third period with a collapse. I think it's more of the latter. I don't want to give the Islanders too much credit for coming back and winning that game. I think this is an Ottawa spot to me. I'll lay the $1.35. 34-35 is what we see right now with the Sens in this game. I like Ottawa here. Bounce back spot at home. Forsberg finally had a better game last time out. I think Ottawa money line is the way to go here in this game. Don't trust the Islanders. The Islanders still are one of these teams. When's the last time they've won 2 in a row? They lost to St. Louis. They beat Montreal. They lost to Detroit. They've not been very good off a win, I should say. They beat Montreal, then they lose to Detroit. They beat New Jersey. They lose to Florida. They beat Buffalo. They lose to the Rangers. They have not been good off a win, the New York Islanders, in recent games. So I'm on the Sens here, minus 135. Might split it up with the team total for the Sens over as well, facing Varlamov here instead of Sorokin. What do you think here in this one, Ryan? Islanders, Senators.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I like the value that Ottawa has here. They're at home. Don't trust New York too much. Ottawa, I'd seen at minus 140 range for the money line. I like that. Also, might take a small chance with their team total over 3.5. I've seen that the Islanders penalty kills ranked 30th, and the Senators ranked 4th right now. So, if New York takes a couple penalties, 2-3 penalties, you got to think the Sens can get at least 1, maybe 2 on the power play. So yeah, I'm looking at that team total over 3.5. I'm seeing it at plus 1. Let's see, It was plus 110, plus 120 range. Or over plus 120, yeah. So over 3.5. So I think that could definitely factor in with the power play. Ottawa's power play being clicking on all cylinders right now, and the Islanders are struggling on the penalty kill. So I like that look a little bit. I also like Brady Tkachuk to get one. I think I'm seeing him anytime at plus 130, I think it was. So I just think, especially if they're getting power plays, him and Stutzel are going to be all around the net. So plus 135 for him, anytime goal scorer. Those are the three things that I like. I'm big on Ottawa this game, so that's pretty much what I'm looking at right now.
I went back and looked, and I did because that's a good point that Dave mentions. What about Ottawa first period puck line? They've had 6 home games. They've led after the first period in 4 of those 6 home games. And in fact, it's the last, I believe, 3 straight home games where they have led after the first period. The Tampa Bay home game, they won 5-4. They led after the first period. The 8-1 game against St. Louis at home, they led after the first period. The Seattle game on Saturday, they led after the first period. So they have been getting off to good starts. 3 straight home games they have led after the opening 20 minutes, the Ottawa Senators. So I might tack on a little Ottawa first period puck line here for some extra value. Coming off the Buffalo loss, again, they've led after the first 20 minutes in the last 3 home games that they have played. So -0.5 plus 174 at Pinnacle for that first period puck line on Ottawa. I'm going to add that to the portfolio a little bit. Because that's good value, along with the money line. Split it up between the two. All right, good stuff. As far as props for this game, for the Ottawa Senators, it looks like I would go with Ridley. Gregg's got value as well right now up on the top line right now for the Ottawa Senators. Adam Gaudette finally didn't score the last game against Buffalo, but nobody did for the most part. They only got 1 goal in that game, but it's hard still to shy away from at least putting a couple of bucks on him right now. Jean-Gabriel Pageau and Anders Lee are on the top line. There's probably value with both of them. Simon Holmstrom finally scored now that he's down on the third line. Couldn't do anything. All the chances he got on the top line, finally does score for them last night. And Siplikov, who we've talked about quite a bit, there's still value with him. All right, Buffalo Sabres and New York Rangers. We've got the Rangers minus 190, home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. Buffalo has been a team that has consistently, especially when they've played the Rangers at MSG, been a really tough out for the Rangers. I can't explain why that is, but it always seems like Buffalo gives them a tough game. Will that happen again tonight is the question. As far as goaltending, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen picked a pack of pickled peppers in net for the Sabres, and we've got Igor Shesterkin for the New York Rangers here in this one. Rangers have won back-to-back against the Islanders and the Senators in this homestand. They didn't play well against Ottawa. Shesterkin bailed them out. They played a lot better against the Islanders, and in that game, that was the game Laviolette made a lot of line changes going into that Islanders game, and they paid off. He put Lafreniere with Zibanejad and Panarin, Cooley with Trocheck and Riley Smith, Kreider, Hedl, and Kakko, and there was great chemistry. It worked. It was a really good jolt that was given to this New York Rangers offense. We'll see if that continues here in this game. There's a couple bets I like here. I like the draw, and I'm taking a shot with Sabres money line, believe it or not, in this game. I am. You look at it at Madison Square Garden, 3 meetings at Madison Square, the last 3. Buffalo has won 2 of those games, and the only win for the Rangers was an overtime 4-3 win last December. This has oddly been a very, very competitive series. Buffalo's played well in this building competitively against this Rangers team. We'll see if that continues, but I'm going to take a shot here with the big dog, the Buffalo Sabres, coming off a big win to snap their 3-game losing streak, a team they've played tough at Madison Square Garden against in the past. And the Rangers, too, keep in mind, they go on the road after this. Last game of a homestand, not always the best spot either. And then it's hard for me to pass up the draw given the history. 5 of the last 7 meetings between the Sabres and the Rangers have gone past regulation. So a little bit on Buffalo, a little bit on the draw here in this game as well. I don't know how I feel about the total. Luukkonen played really well last game, and you've got Igor in the other side in net for the Rangers, but the last 3 meetings between these teams was a minimum of 6 goals scored. So do we get that again here? We'll see. Lean over. Maybe I sprinkle on it just a bit, but nothing I'm overly strong on as far as the total here. What do you think in this one, Ryan, with Buffalo and the New York Rangers?
Yeah, I know you mentioned it's been a pretty close series. I think I'm honestly leaning a little bit towards the Rangers puck line. Playing at home against an Eastern Conference team, I think that the Rangers can come out hot and put up a few goals on Pekka Luukkonen. I know they came off. Both teams are coming off wins, so could see a slow start if it's not like they lost last night and they're on a back-to-back. But I lean Rangers. I think if they're up a goal late, Buffalo's gonna have to pull the goalie. So I'm leaning towards that Rangers puck line. That's pretty much all I have for this game in terms of side or totals. There are some shot props that I might look at, as well as I don't do it often, but goalie saves. I know the Sabres, especially if they're down, I could see them getting 35, 40 shots, just throwing everything at the net. So there are a couple props in terms of that I might be looking at with like Shesterkin, but overall just the Rangers puck line for me.
All right, New York Rangers puck line here for Ryan with the Sabres and Rangers. Peterka, JJ Peterka. As far as Buffalo, he scored the last game, playing still with Thompson and Tuck. Benson and Jason Zucker might be worth a look too for the Sabres. They've picked things up of late. And for the Rangers, Lafreniere with Zibanejad and Panarin. I'm interested. Will Cooley is playing with Trocheck and Smith. I do think Will Cooley's undervalued. Hedl with Kreider and Kreider and Kakko, I should say. He might be worth a goal prop tonight too as well. Phil Hedl has been solid as well the last few games. More assists than goals, but I get that feeling with the opportunity of him centering that line with Kreider. He might have the chance to actually get on the scoreboard as far as goal scoring tonight is concerned. All right, next game on the board here, we've got the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay minus 210, home favorites in this game. The total 6 across the board in this one. Tampa Bay struggling a little bit at the end of that road trip. They did not finish the road trip all that strong. They end up dropping the last few games of that roadie against Minnesota, Winnipeg, and St. Louis. And they give up 15 goals. That's 5 goals per game on average in those 3 games and those 3 losses to end that 4-game road trip against the Wild, the Jets, and the Blues. So you have a Tampa Bay team looking to bounce back. They are off a road trip, but they're off a disappointing road trip. So while it is the first home game off the road trip, I would expect good focus here from the Lightning, trying to get back on track here in this game. Meanwhile, Philadelphia, after the mini little 2-game win streak with St. Louis and Boston, beating those 2 teams with Ersson in net, who was terrific. Ersson gets hurt early in the rematch against Boston on Saturday at home. They lose 3-0, and Kolosov took over in that game. He gets the start with Ersson out against Carolina, and they get lit up and give up 6 goals in that game. Kolosov is just, you either take the other team or you take their team total over. And that's what I did the other night. I took Carolina team total over. Kolosov is not NHL ready in net. Don't put it off. Fade Kolosov. For those of you that are in Canada, you know that little jingle, the Sokolov Lawyers. We change it now with Kolosov. Don't call it off. Fade Kolosov. That's what we're doing here tonight. Fading Kolosov again. Not an NHL-ready goalie. I'm on Tampa Bay team total over 3.5 here, minus 115. Very good price, minimal juice. Lightning team total over 3.5 for me. And yes, Matvei Mishkov, the big news is Torts benching him, not liking his play away from the puck defensively. I don't mind it. He probably could have done this a few games ago because I agree with him. His play away from the puck defensively needs improvement, and we're going to see how this one plays out. But I think the full game over I like a little bit too, but I'm a little more concerned about Philly chipping in offensively, although Tampa's not exactly keeping the puck out the last few games. So I might tack on the over 6 as well, but I like the Lightning side of it even more, the team total over 3.5. Again, Kolosov's just not ready. In my opinion, to be an NHL goalie right now. Maybe down the road, but not right now. What do you think here, Ryan? Philadelphia, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I don't think Kolosov's quite ready yet. Philly in their 3 of their 2 of their last 3 losses, they've given up 6 goals and 4 goals. So especially Tampa's been on the road for 4 straight games. They're coming home. They're going to be fired up at home. I definitely like that Tampa team total over 3.5 at plus 115, plus 120. So that's all I'm going to be on for this game. But yeah, I think Tampa comes out hot. Can definitely see them scoring 2 goals in the first period, being back at home. So yeah, that's what I like most out of this game.
We're not sure actually if it's Kolosov yet. I thought he was confirmed already. It won't be Ersson. Which means I still like the Lightning team total over. It actually could be Fedotov that gets the start. Cool, bring it, bring him on. He stinks too right now. So I've got no issues right now with if it is Fedotov. He hasn't been any better. In fact, you might even say he's been worse. 5.35 goals against average, 821 save percentage. Holy mackerel, terrible. So yeah, Lightning, I still like Lightning. It doesn't affect me either way. If it's Kolosov, we like Lightning team total over. If it's Fedotov, we still like Lightning team total over. And I think I like the full game over, but not quite as much. But we'll get in on the full game over here as well. Prop-wise in this game here with Tampa and Philly, Braden Point, we'll see if he is back. He was obviously a late scratch the other night for the Tampa Bay Lightning in the game against the St. Louis Blues. See if he's able to return tonight. Doesn't look like it. So it's going to be Hagel, Cirelli, Kucherov. I still think Mitchell Chaffee and Nick Paul on the second line are good value props for Tampa Bay tonight. For Philadelphia, Morgan Frost maybe. We've got Anthony Richard here, who's been called up from the American League, by the way, and he's going to get an opportunity on the second line. So John Tortorella throwing him into a top 6 role right off the hop with Frost and Tippett. So maybe there's a little Anthony Richard value here tonight for the Philadelphia Flyers getting this opportunity in this spot here tonight. All right, next up, we've got the Utah Hockey Club taking on the St. Louis Blues. Utah, I should say, is actually a slight road favorite here in this game. 6, the total across the board. I'll tell you what, I'm giving the Blues their due. I'm a little surprised with the way Utah has been a little bit more well, let's be honest. They've cooled off after their strong first couple weeks of the season. They're now 5-8. They've struggled offensively in some of these games. They're just 1-6 in their last 7 games. The only win was a 5-1 win against Calgary. And St. Louis, look, on this homestand, they beat Tampa, they beat Toronto. Okay, is it a letdown spot maybe for them? But no, I like the way they've played at home. I don't like the way they played on the road, St. Louis, but here at Enterprise Center, they've played some pretty good hockey. We'll see how they fare here in this one. I don't know. I don't want to be on St. Louis now. If I took them against Toronto and Tampa, I'd maybe ride them tonight, but I don't want to take them now. This feels like with what I've seen from the Blues at times this year, the kind of game they could lose, and you would expect Utah after a shutout loss against a very good Winnipeg team to want to bounce back. So I'm off the side. You know what I'm rolling with, though. The system play, it is in effect with the Utah Hockey Club off a loss. We're on the first period over 1.5 and the full game over, which I got at 5.5 with this full game over. It's 6 in some spots. It's over 1.5 minus 114 for the first period, over 5.5 minus 114 for the full game. I am on both of those. Again, the system play, teams off a shutout loss, which is still very strong for the duration of the season. 19-6 first period overs, 15-7-3 full game overs for teams off a shutout loss. System play, that's all for me here. What do you think here, Ryan? Utah, St. Louis.
Yeah, I don't have a great read on how the game's going to go. I would lean Utah if anything. I always want to see Utah do well. Josh Jones, my captain, and so I always root for them when I can. But I don't really have a good feel for how this game's going to play out. I do like that first period over for that system play. Other than that, I could see it slowing down after the first period if it's 1-1, 2-1, and both teams kind of settling in. So I don't really have a good read on this. I'm going to stay off pretty much everything except that first period over. And then player props, I like Gunther. He was on a 3-4 game point streak, whatever it was. He's been quiet the last couple games. So I see him for a point at minus 120, minus 115, minus 120 range. So I might sprinkle on Gunther a little bit. If they get a couple power plays, he'll be out there. So Gunther, first period overlook, and that's probably it for me on this game, just because I don't have a great feel on it.
Yeah, that's totally okay. Nothing wrong with that. This is the game I don't have a great feel for, and it's involving your Dallas Stars here as they take on the Chicago Blackhawks. We've got Dallas minus 320, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Oh, briefly, as far as the Utah St. Louis game, as far as props, I did want to mention, I believe Dylan Holloway, who we had that scary moment, of course, in the last game for the St. Louis Blues, but looked like he was fine coming off that, and he's back, and he's on the top line with Buchnevich and Neighbors. It would be such a great scene to see him score tonight, and I think he might. I love the Dylan Holloway prop tonight, playing with Buchnevich, and won't you be my neighbor? Jake Neighbors on that top line as well for St. Louis. For the Utah Hockey Club, Ryan mentioned Gunther, maybe Matthias Michelli too on the second line. Could be worth a look, man. Be careful. This is a team struggling to score right now. But I really like Dylan Holloway. Top line, back in the lineup tonight after the scary moment the other night. So I like that as well. I don't have anything here, Chicago, Dallas, other than maybe I look at Foligno and Donato, these same two players for Chicago as far as goal props, who've been very good for them lately. But you got Dallas off the 2 games in Finland, kind of like the spot we talked about earlier with the Florida Panthers. It's not the best spot, but the difference is Dallas is off 2 losses in those 2 games against Florida. They might be a little more chomping at the bit than, say, the Panthers. A little more sense of urgency tonight for the Dallas Stars compared to the Florida Panthers coming off those 2 games. So, and look, Chicago on a back-to-back after playing against Detroit last night. It's not a great optimal scheduling spot for the Blackhawks either. And the schedule makers have done them a dirty, quite honest. To be quite honest, because they were on the road. They come home for 1 measly game, and now they're back on the road again on a back-to-back. How do you do that if you're the schedule makers to a team? And unfortunately, they've done that here to the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. So it's a complete and utter pass for me. Total, same thing. Could be an over, could be an under, could go either way with the total, because we've seen some 5-4, 8-1 games with these teams. We've also seen a few 3-1, 3-2 games, 4-2 games. So keep that in mind. So it's kind of been all over the map with the totals as well with these 2 teams. Goaltending for this game, Jake Ottinger confirmed for Dallas. On the back-to-back with Mrazek in last night, we would expect Arvid Soderblom tonight for Chicago, who's actually been better so far this season. What do you think here in this one, Ryan? Blackhawks Stars.
Yeah, so I'm staying off either side. Obviously, minus 320 is crazy. Chicago played last night, so similar to that Florida-Nashville game we touched on, I might take a small shot with Chicago first period team total over half a goal. See that minus 110, minus 115 range. So that's something I might take a look at in terms of first period. I think Dallas is, they lost those 2 games to Florida, but you saw how they started those 2 games with all the travel and having 5 days off when they first got to Finland. So it wouldn't surprise me if they start a little bit slow and let one up early. They haven't been scoring much early either. So that's kind of why, same thing, like I said, we talked about with Nashville and Florida. Nashville and Chicago both played last night. The game could favor them in the first period a little bit early on. They'll be fresh. They'll still be, dialed in, especially because they both lost last night. So that Chicago first period team total over half goal, I think has good value. I don't like any of the team totals with Dallas. They haven't been scoring as much lately, and I don't think there's, great value. To get plus money, you have to take Dallas over 4.5, which I don't want to do right now. So yeah, there are a lot of player props in this game that I like, and will be on right now. Just looking at it, I see Stankoven over half a point, minus 120. He, from what I've seen from the practice lines, might be reunited with. He might be, yeah. So Dodonow's been with Hinson Robertson this week, and then Ben has been back with Johnston and Stankoven. And you know how good that line looked in the playoffs. They just have chemistry, Ben with the 2 kids. So I think that Stankoven point has good value on it. There's a couple other point props that I'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, for me, it's just a small amount on that Chicago first period. and then a couple of those player props that I'll be looking at. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this.
There you go. Chicago first period team total. No bias here for Ryan Robinson. No stars bias here. Can't accuse him of that. He's liking Chicago. I think that might be worth a sprinkle too, because I just don't know if we're going to get Dallas and Florida in tip-top, zipped-up, buttoned-up defensive shape in the first 20 minutes of these two games here tonight for them coming off the road trip. Where I definitely could see Nashville potting one in the first period against Florida. I think I could even see maybe Chicago sneaking one in here in the opening period against Dallas too. So I don't mind that.
Two guys, yeah. I mean, it's obvious, but I'm looking at Hintz specifically. He had a hat trick against Chicago last year. I know those two like to chip in offensively whenever Chicago comes to Dallas usually. So those two I think have good value. I mean, they've been shuffling it up, so I wouldn't be surprised if Dodonov starts with them, and then Wyatt's on the first line halfway through the game, depending on how it's going. So I think those two have a good opportunity to put up some points tonight against Chicago, who's not the greatest team defensively. I know if Soderblom is playing, he's been better as of late, but still, I know Alex doesn't trust him long term. So Hintz is someone I'm leaning to as well.
I'm done with Hintz. I mean, he disappointed me in Finland. I thought Finland, he's going to show up there, home country, and there you go, Russell. I'm with you. Amen. Not again with Rope Hintz. He's got to show me. It's a show me business now. Show me what you can do here tonight to get on the score sheet, because I thought he would in Finland and he didn't in that game. We'll see how he fares here tonight. All right, next up we've got Colorado and Winnipeg, rematch of the first round of the playoffs last year. We've got Winnipeg minus 140, home favorites. The total in this game currently 6.5, shaded to the over in this game. Of course, there was big fear, for Colorado coming out of that game against Seattle. I know they got the win against Seattle, but the bigger concern was the status of Cale Makar. He left that game due to injury, and initially it did not look good. But he avoided the worst. He is day-to-day moving forward for the Colorado Avalanche, but they thought this could be a real serious injury, like he was going to miss significant time. But the relief for the Avalanche is that that's not the case, and he is now day-to-day, and in fact, he still might play tonight in this game against Winnipeg, but it will be a game-time decision here for Cale Makar, and obviously is significant to this Avs team. Much worse on the blue line without him. We'll see if he's able to suit up, but they're still very banged up. Now, they did get a jolt and a boost from the return of Arturi Lehkonen. I talked about it prior to the Seattle game. He gets put up there with McKinnon and Rantanen, and suddenly, that is a line that is very formidable again, and he has great chemistry there, but they're still very banged up with other forwards. Miles Wood, Ross Colton have been playing very well. They're still on IR. Drouin's still on IR. Big Val Nichushkin is nearing a return, but it's not quite there yet. And then Winnipeg, wow, they just keep on rolling. And look, what's impressive is, they finally didn't light it up for a change. During this 12-1 start, many of their recent wins, they've scored 4, 5, 6, 7 goals. Finally, they got subdued a little bit on offense against Utah, and they still win and find a way to win a lower scoring game. And they shut out the Utah Hockey Club 3-0, and Hellebuck plays well. I'll be honest, I had Hellebuck pegged wrong. I thought last year I didn't like the way he played down the stretch. Playoffs, he was abysmal. Preseason, he didn't look that great, but he has looked certainly very good here in the regular season going into this one. Obviously, this is Winnipeg's first crack at Colorado since getting knocked out in the playoffs in the first round last year by this Avs team, where Winnipeg won the first game. And then, of course, it was 4 straight for the Avalanche after that. So, this is a circled game, you could say, on the Winnipeg schedule. But I like their form. And by the way, what drew me toward Winnipeg here was Georgiev being in net. We have no qualms fading this guy. He's back in net, 1-4, 4.62 goals against average, .822 save percentage. He has given up at least 3 goals in every game. Is this guy ever going to have a game where he gives up just 2 goals ever again, Georgiev? Is that possible anymore at this point? Or is he just going to be Mr. 3, 4, 5, 6 goals allowed every single time here moving forward? So he's been awful. I'm on Winnipeg money line minus 140, Winnipeg team total over 3.5, and I have the over by Fecta. And I'll take one step further, over trifecta here in this game. First period over, full game over, both teams to score first period. So 5 bets on this game. Over trifecta for me, and also on the first Winnipeg money line, Winnipeg team total over 3.5 here as well. What do you think here in this one, Ryan? Colorado, Winnipeg.
Yeah, I'm big on Winnipeg as well. I think like that the value in the money line. They're playing hot. Hellebuck has been unbelievable, and they're at home. And as you mentioned, Colorado is missing so many top 6 guys. They're banged up, and I think it's going to be tough for them tonight going into Winnipeg. Something I really like is not only the Jets money line, but their team total over 3.5 at that -110. I think that's a good price for the team as hot as them. That's at home, playing a Colorado team that hasn't had the greatest start to the season, on top of injuries piling up one after the other. So I do like Jets money line here, as well as their team total. Kyle Connor's been hot. So I'm going to play around and look at what value I can find with his props. Their power play has been pretty lethal. So those are the few things I'm going to be looking at. I don't really like too much on Colorado here, especially with Georgiev starting. You just can't trust that guy. Even when he plays a pretty solid game, it seems like he gives up one or two early, and so you never really know. So yeah, that's why that's another big reason why I'm big on Winnipeg here, is Georgiev on the road, especially on the road, is just not been sustainable for Colorado to win games. So
yeah, and Onanen needs a break, so you can't go to him again, and that's why. And Kokkonen, forget it. He's not someone that Jared Bednar can trust. You're stuck. You got to go back to Georgiev and keep your fingers crossed and hope for the best. And you've been getting anything but the best from Alexander Georgiev this season for the Colorado Avalanche. So yeah, as far as props go, in addition to the Jets money line and team total and the over trifecta, I like Winnipeg. I like Velarde. Ehlers has been excellent for this team, no doubt. And then for Colorado, I do think Colorado will score a few tonight, or at least a couple. Arturi Lehkonen, Kiviranta with Middlestat and O'Connor's probably got some value. And how about Ivan to score another goal for this team? Because Ivan, I'll tell you what, 2 goals in the last 3 games. We're starting to see him get a little more comfortable out there for the Avs. So I think Ivan and Lehkonen are my 2 favorite goal props tonight for the Avalanche here in this one. All right, we got 2 games left. Vancouver and Los Angeles. We've got the Vancouver Canucks -120 road favorites, 5.5 the total, pretty much across the board here in this one. Actually, -125 now, LA or for Vancouver. So a little money coming in on the Canucks, and I agree with it. 5-1 on the road. They've been road warriors. They catch LA in a very, very tough spot, in my opinion. They're coming off 2 ultra satisfying road wins in a row against Minnesota and Nashville to wrap up the road trip back to back. Now they're coming home. 3rd game in 4 nights with travel in between each game. It is a very, very dubious spot here for the Kings, coming off those 2 wins, 3rd road game in 4 nights, travel in between, coming back from the Midwest to the West Coast. Vancouver, this great run they've had on the road, 5-1. They won in LA last year as well in one of the games. I like the Canucks here, -120 in this game. That's about it. Vancouver -120. And I don't even mind with them having Lankinen in net. Kevin Lankinen's actually played very well recently for the Vancouver Canucks. 6-0-1 with a 2.09 goals against average and a .923 save percentage. So we got to give the former Blackhawk and former Nashville Predator, Kevin Lankinen, a lot of credit. He's having a very good run in between the pipes right now for the Vancouver Canucks. So I like Vancouver here in this spot. This is a brutal spot for LA. 3rd game in 4 nights, travel in between each game. And, of course, the 2 wins. I could see them being a little fat and happy, a little flat here in this one, and Vancouver takes advantage of it. So I like the small road favorite here, Vancouver in this one. What do you think here, Ryan, with Canucks Kings?
Yeah, I'm right with you. I think LA's coming back home after 2 huge wins and being on the road. Vancouver wants to start to, go on a streak and, pile some wins together back to back. So I think it'd be a good spot for them in LA tonight. I like that -125. Staying off any overs or anything like that. Some in terms of player props, I like Laferriere, however you say it. He
Alex Laferriere. There you go. Yeah.
played with him. Played with him in juniors. He was my line mate and lived with him for a bit. He's a good dude, and I used to take his shot props a lot last year and stuff like that. Hit a decent amount. I know he loves to rip the puck. I like Laugh over half a point. I'm seeing a +115. So I know Matt has his good luck with Stefan Nace whenever he's on the show. Hopefully, I can start a trend with Laugh here. Whether it's a goal or assist, whatever. So I'm taking Laugh. I see Matt has anytime goal. I might put a small amount on that as well. But yeah, I think he's been playing on the top line, on the second line, getting more minutes compared to last year. I've seen him with Kopitar and some of the big boys and getting power play minutes. So that's something that I'm going to take as well as Laugh over half a point.
Yeah, for me, I like Laferriere is not a bad option. He's not French Canadian, by the way. He's from New Jersey. We have to always remember that. People think he's a Quebecer. He's not. He's from New Jersey. But that's the Laferriere always gives people that thought. But I like Byfield, who finally got off the schneid for the Kings, and Warren Fogle for the Kings as well. And then for Vancouver, I like Pius Suter on the second line lately with Elias Pettersson and Connor Garland, and he's really stepped things up for the Canucks. He's been starting to find the back of the net. Brock Besser, obviously a goal and an assist last game. I think he's done a lot of damage against the Kings, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So you could go in that direction as well for him. So those are some of the props I'd look at in that game with the Canucks and the Kings. All right, next up, final game of this big Thursday card, Minnesota Wild, San Jose Sharks. We've got Minnesota -260 road favorites in this game, and the total currently at 6, pretty much across the board. Minnesota off probably one of the worst games they've played all year. At least one of them had to be, with the way they played against LA, a 5-1 home loss to the LA Kings. Tough way to end what was a very good run and a homestand there for Minnesota. But now they start a road trip, looking to respond following that defeat to the LA Kings. Don't be fooled by San Jose's win against Columbus last night. I'll take it because I had a piece of the Sharks in that game, but they needed Vitek Vanacek to bail them out and put on the performance of a lifetime. 50 shots for the Columbus Blue Jackets in that game. Basically Vanacek stole it from them, stole it for San Jose from Columbus, and they get the 2-1 overtime win. Alex Wenberg gets the overtime winner for the Sharks in that game. Yes, Macklin Celebrini came back, and this will be his second game, so he'll feel more comfortable. And I know San Jose's played, 4-1 in their last 5 games. Maybe we shouldn't be betting against San Jose, getting a home underdog price like this, 4-1 in their last 5 games. But Minnesota's owned them. They've won 4 straight, the Wild over the Sharks. Last 2 times they've played them here in the Shark Tank, 5-2, 6-2 final scores in favor of the Wild. So the Wild have really had a good run of it here against this San Jose team. Marc-Andre Fleury in net for the Wild tonight, it looks like, and Vitek Vanacek back in net for the Sharks, which I'm not at all surprised by, that Ryan Warsofsky is going to run back Vanacek after just a brilliant performance, stealing 2 points for them the other night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So what I like here is Minnesota team total over. I prefer that. Then you can go puck line if you want, but I just feel better about the team total over 3.5, around -115, -120. We'll dare Vitek Vanacek to be that good again, because let's be honest, the guy that didn't fly in Washington, didn't hold up there, didn't hold up in New Jersey as a legit goaltender, and too much inconsistency in his game. Okay, he's had 2 pretty good starts in a row, Jackets and Kings. But the fact is, before that, he had given up almost 3 goals or more in almost every start. And just from what I've seen over the last, 5 years he's been in the league, Vanacek usually does not go more than 2 starts in a row without a clunker. And it could be tonight maybe for him after facing that many shots. Sometimes you get that with the lower level goalies when they have one of those outlier performances like that, 50 shots faced, and he steals a win for them against Columbus. A lot of times not able to follow it up the next game. So I'm going to take Minnesota here. Team total over 3.5. What do you think here, Ryan? Final game, Wild Sharks.
Yeah, I'm honestly going to stay off this one as well. With Vanacek, he maybe he comes out and plays the same way. Has a 35-40 save performance, whatever. Maybe he lays an egg and the Wild win 5-1. I don't know. There's just not. I don't feel comfortable laying plus 210 with the Sharks. Obviously, playing against Minnesota, who's been playing great hockey. So I'm probably just going to stay off this altogether with sides, totals, everything like that. I don't really have a good read on, if San Jose is going to put up a fight and have it be a close game, or if Minnesota is going to run away with it early. So I'm going to back off this one.
Nothing wrong with that. I want to point out about Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov. This is a guy that after a couple of games, he doesn't had a point in the last 2 games. He didn't have a point against Toronto, even though they won that game, and he didn't have a point against LA the other night. So he's gone back-to-back games without scoring a point for the Minnesota Wild. But let's remember that before these last 2 games where he's been held off the score sheet, Kaprizov, I think, was on a run of 7 straight games with multi-points. 7 straight multi-point games before the last 2 games where he did not score a single point. This could be the night he explodes. Because if you look at last year, the last time they played in San Jose was last year in April. 6-2 was the final score in favor of the San Jose Sharks. In that game, Kaprizov had 2 goals, 3 and an assist. He had 3 points in that game for the Minnesota Wild. 5-2 the year before in San Jose. Minnesota won there 5-2. And I believe in that game, I actually should see if he even played. Did he play? Or was that a game where he was injured? Let me see. No, he didn't play that night. But it was last year. He had 2 goals and an assist, 3 points in San Jose. I feel an explosion coming for Kaprizov. So this is a spot where I'm actually going to look at Kaprizov over 1.5 points, which is even money. You could even go a step further and take over 2.5 points at plus money. And you could even sprinkle on a multi-goal night for Kaprizov because he did score 2 goals last year in San Jose against the Sharks. So I feel it's a good Kaprizov prop night here in this game against San Jose. You're off a loss. You're now not hit the score sheet, held without a single point in the last 2 games against the Leafs and Kings. It feels like a good time to maybe jump on the Thrill Kaprizov props here to bounce back offensively tonight. Rossi worth a look as well as far as goal prop. Boldy as well. And for San Jose, again, with them, you look at Wenberg up on the second line, did score the overtime winner the other night. Worth a look. You basically want to keep your goal props to the top 6. They're not getting much of anything from Dellandrea, Sturm, Grundstrom, Luke Cunnin, even Barclay Goodrow. Maybe Will Smith on the third line can chip in, but a lot of the offense, whatever offense San Jose is getting, it's coming from the top 6 forward group only right now. Great stuff with Ryan Robinson, last-second replacement here, jumping in to fill in for Matt. And, of course, Alex has had no power this afternoon with the construction in his area, so we'll get Alex back tomorrow for the Friday edition. Hit the like button, everyone watching on YouTube, and shout out to everyone watching, regardless of what platform it is, Twitter, X, Facebook, or YouTube. Thank you, as always, for tuning into the Ice Guys show. And thank you, as always, for being a Patreon member. And if you're not a Patreon member yet, what are you waiting for? Bonus content, totals, charts, and more. Exclusive articles. We're going to have exclusive live betcast later this season as well for Patreon members only. And, of course, the daily betting card each and every day. Sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Just $10 per month to be an Ice Guys Patreon member. And again, your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 a month. And again, make sure you check out the Ice Guys store as well. Get your gear and your merch right now over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. I was going to hold off until tomorrow to make that announcement, Russell, the next betcast, but we've decided on the date, so I'll just announce it now. Tuesday, November 19th. Tuesday, November 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, will be our November Ice Guys Live betcast. So that's, again, a week and a half from now. It was either going to be that Tuesday or the following Tuesday. We didn't want to have it close to Thanksgiving. People are going to be traveling in the States, so we're going to have it the week before U.S. Thanksgiving, Tuesday, November 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. That will be our November Ice Guys live betcast. So again, make sure you join us for that. All right, we got bargain bin special tonight. I'm trying to make it 2 in a row, trying to get heat up with this bargain bin special after cashing in with Protoss with Washington last night. So we got bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsman, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Sofa, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page.
Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great Ice Guys sponsors, including, of course, Boston Hemp Inc. You can check them out and get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. I do want to point this out because I do get this asked, and Sweet Lou asking about the subscription options for me. I have two. SoBet is one, and the SoBet subscription option with me is best bets only. So I go lower volume there. I try to isolate just the top plays each day in every sport. Again, that is at SoBet. I mentioned it on Twitter X. You can find the link to it there. And the full card subscription option is Dub Club. That's where every wager, no matter how big or small, on a daily basis in every sport, I post it for the full card subscription members there at Dub Club. So two different subscription tiers. SoBet, $9.99 per month. It is a best bets only subscription. And then Dub Club, which is the full card, is $75 per month, $200 for 3 months, $400 for 6 months, and then the 1 year is $750. So that is the difference between the two. SoBet, best bets only subscription. Dub Club, full card, every wager subscription. That is the difference between the two. So great question. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Let's get right into it with that. Let's start with the other Robinson, who's apparently too busy to be on the show, but not busy enough to join the chat. Very peculiar. But nevertheless, Matt Robinson, Yoel Kiviranta is going to be his bargain bin special of the night for the Colorado Avalanche. I do think actually he is worth a look. On that second line, of course, they're still a little bit banged up, even though they do have Lehkonen. You can get as high as plus 620. So there you go, Matt Robinson with his bargain bin special. Yoel Kiviranta here for the Colorado Avalanche. All right, Ryan, what do you like here for your bargain bin?
Yeah, so I wasn't going to go to the Dallas game, but there is something that I really like. I'm going to go with Matt Duchene, 2+ points. He's had 2 points in his last 3 games, and then the fourth game he had 3 points. So he's been putting up points. He's been consistent. He's probably been their most consistent player. And his line's looks like the best line for the Stars, pretty much every night. So I'm going to go with him for 2+ points at plus 330. He's on that second power play unit. Sometimes, honestly, the first, they've been switching it up back and forth. But, even if I think Sagan's supposed to play, but even if he's not, that line, him, Duchene, Marchment, and whoever's been with them, usually Sagan, have been lights out. So I really like Duchene to keep it rolling. So I'm going to go with him 2+ points.
For the bargain bin special, I like that one. All right, mine, I'm going to go with the Will Cooley was a good. That was on the short list, Jason. Will Cooley bargain bin plus 475. That was on the short list, but I did not go with that for bargain bin special. I ended up going with Mitchell Chaffee for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Second line. He's potted a few goals already this season, and I expect Tampa to be better offensively tonight against either It's going to be Kolosov or Fedotov. Right now, some stiff that can't play in net for the Flyers. Bottom line, regardless of who it is, Fedotov or Kolosov. Neither of these guys have been any good. So I expect the Lightning to be able to score some goals tonight back home after a tough end of the road trip. And Mitchell Chaffee is up on that second line right now for them. So that's who I'm going with. Mitchell Chaffee, Tampa Bay Lightning, plus 450 at Bet Rivers for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets. Matt Robinson, his best bet. Nashville, Florida. We got Predators versus Panthers. So got both of them. We got Predators and Panthers. That's the sound effect for both of those teams. Matt's going with the first period over for his best bet, Nashville and Florida, which I like. I mean, again, Florida, 10-3 to the first period over this year. Pretty strong stuff indeed. So that's Matt Robinson's best bet. The other Robinson, Ryan, what do you like here for best bet tonight?
Yeah, so for my best bet, I'm going to head to Winnipeg for that Jets-Colorado game. I'm going to take Winnipeg team total over 3.5. I think, the last three, they won a close game last game, but before that, their last three, they put up 7 goals, 6 goals, 6 goals. So they definitely have the firepower. Depending how you spin it, I like it. Georgiev's in net. Winnipeg's at home. They've shown they can score. And also, you touched on it, but it's kind of a revenge game for them. Obviously, Colorado, upset them last year or knocked them out in the first round. So I look for Winnipeg to be hungry at home and can definitely see them getting to 4. So that's my best bet is Jets team total over 3.5.
All right, Winnipeg Jets. Woo, woo, I can almost remember cash and tickets. Winnipeg Jets. Team total over 3.5 for Ryan Robinson and his best bet. My best bet here for this Thursday card. You know what? Totals in best bets for me have hit the skids the last few days. So I'm getting away from totals. I'm giving you a side. The sides were great last night. Detroit and Washington both cashed in for me. I'm going to take the Ottawa Senators tonight. Minus 134 for my best bet against the New York Islanders. A great bounce back spot. Strong record at home. I think they get the job done tonight against the Islanders, who have not been good off a win, and you get Ottawa off a loss that won't sit well with them against the Sabres. I know I got to trust Forsberg in net, but Forsberg's off one of his better performances in a 3-0 shutout against Seattle in his last start. So Ottawa Senators, minus 134 for my best bet. I like their first period puck line as well, but I will go with Ottawa first period money line here, minus 134 for my best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. Appreciate it very much. If you haven't done that, make sure you hit that like button. And again, just to remind you, we've made the announcement of the Betcast date for November, Tuesday, November 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's a pretty good card that night as well. I believe Florida versus Winnipeg is one of the games on that night, Tuesday, October. That's the Paul Maurice Bowl, you can call that. Paul Maurice against his old team, who he still has a very soft place in his heart for the Winnipeg Jets. So the Paul Maurice Bowl coming up on that night of the Betcast, Tuesday, November 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So that is one of many pretty solid games that night. So we're looking forward to the Betcast, Tuesday, November 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Ryan, any last words before we shut her down? Thanks for hopping in last minute.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited for a big slate of hockey tonight. It's always good hopping on. I know I mentioned this to you before, but I broke my fibula last week, so I've pretty much just been laying in bed, pretty out of it with the medicine and stuff I've been taking. So it's a perfect time to just watch hockey, relax, and I'm always excited for a big night of hockey. So I'm really particularly excited to watch that Colorado Winnipeg game. See if Winnipeg shows up big time at home. It'll be interesting to see if my Stars lay an egg early against Chicago or not. But overall, it's always fun hopping on. I love reading the chat and getting their thoughts. So thanks for having me on.
There we go. Great job, Ryan Robinson. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Back tomorrow on Friday for another edition of the Ice Guys.